Greetings, greetings, family. We are live. Sister Shanice in the house for another Sister Shanice show. Let me just make sure that I do a recording of this show. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Please do let the family know that we are indeed live. Oh, welcome. As you know, it's Ujama Day. It's Wednesday. It's the day that we've all been looking forward to. So those of you who joined me during the earlier part of the day on my radio show, thank you so much. My, what a show that was today indeed. Just to give you a flavor of what you missed, in case you weren't able to join me for my radio show today. Woo! It was awesome. First of all, we had our brother Lamin Jate from the Academy, the Galaxy Academy School. And he's joining me on a Wednesday morning on my radio show now to teach us Mandinka. So we were learning a little bit of the Mandinka language today. And wow, I think this one's going to be a steep learning curve, but it's all good. It's all good. So I want to share with you a little bit of the Mandinka that I learned today. Are you up for it, family? Do you think you can take on a bit of Mandinka? Oh, here we go. And wow, we have been joined by our beloved Dr. Clyde Winters. Yeah, rise up, Dr. Clyde. How you doing? You're on mute. Take yourself off mute, beloved.
No, I don't know. I'm okay, but it's been very hectic. I was doing some work and I almost didn't get here on time.
You scraped in just in time. I thought that, the clocks have gone forward in England. No, it's gone back. So it does cause a little bit of a confusion. So I thought you would be in a bit later, but awesome. You're looking fantastic.
Great thank you. I have to use my old computer, so I hope everything works out.
Oh, you're looking fantastic. You're here on time. We're ready to rock and roll. I was just sharing with the family, Dr. Clyde, that in my radio show today, we were learning a bit of Mandinka. We've got Lamin who's teaching us Mandinka. And so today we learned a few greetings. And one of the greetings was Ibe Cairo To. Ibe Cairo To, which means how are you? And then you reply, Kaira Dorong.
Well, hey, that's good. Another one is Niji. Niji is another greeting. That means hello are you today. But that's because Mandy, I didn't try to learn it fluently, but I learned it so I could do most of my research, because much of my research was comparing, the Malinke Bambara language with Sumerian, Akkadian, Tamil. So I've been doing that for years. And what I found is that the Anu, the Twa people, when they ruled the world, they spoke Mandingo very crazily. Very crazy. And because, see, they founded the first Sioux Empire. And the first Sioux Empire, it existed about 10,000 years ago. And so then I guess the Malinke Bambara, they continue to use the Mandi language. And that's why, in a sense, the Mandi language is so influential. That's why you find it compares to Chinese, Egyptian, so many different languages,
Yeah, so there we have the source. So, you're a linguist, you're very fluent in numerous languages. And so
I used to be. They're all up here, they're all mixed up.
And all from the
original. I don't know.
You do, you're awesome. So I'm just going to grab my external speaker. So please do welcome the audience, Dr. Clyde, while I grab my external speaker and come back so I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Go ahead.
How's everybody doing? I'm glad to see you guys, and I'm glad that I can make it to the Sister Shanice show. Shanice, she's my oracle. what I mean by that is that this woman, in a sense, is such a hard worker. She brings out so much, you know. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be with you guys, and I'm happy, in a sense, to be able to talk to you guys today about what I think is a very interesting issue. Can you hear me better now?
Oh, much better. I can hear you very clearly now. Thank
This.
you.
Hello, hello. I got this microphone. It should be working.
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes, I hear you I hear you grand.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we are ready to rock and roll, family. What a show we've got lined up for you today. And I'm just posting in the background here to send people the link and to let our family know that we are indeed live. And we've got Dr. Winters in the house. And Dr. Winters, I was actually looking at some of the books that you have written, and wow, you have, you know, written so many books, so many wonderful, wonderful books. And I put a few together in a little presentation. And at some point, I'd just like to share some of them with the audience.
Thank you very much, because my sons, they always get on my case because they feel I should talk about modern stuff, because, you know, I should talk about modern stuff and relations. Then I could probably have 100,000 followers. But I like to mainly talk about ancient history. I could talk about current events and all that, but I don't know. I'll leave that to this guy called Gerald Horn. You know, Gerald Horn. He's a black professor at the University of Houston, I think it is. He talks that modern stuff, the African stuff. I can talk about all the contemporary events. But the thing is, this is that you handle that quite adequately yourself. You always have a lot of brothers from Africa and modern politicians. So, you know, I let the politicians do their job.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we all have our area of specialism, don't we? Because you have contributed so much, you know, to our ancient history knowledge. You really, really have. Let me grab that presentation. I'll stop the posting and grab that presentation. And I really want the family to see, you know, some of your works, because it's absolutely phenomenal. It really is. So let's just go into share screen behind here. Hold on, let's just minimize some things on my screens here. And I mean, you always say that there needs to be more of us writing, more of us who are actually, you know, sharing our stories. And this is one of the things that you've encouraged us to do on your course as well, which is beautiful. And as a result, you know, I've written 2 books myself just from being on Dr. Clyde Winters's course. And we definitely, I want to have some conversations with our beloved, because we need more authors out there, most definitely. Okay, so just getting this lined up. You cannot minimize it, that's okay. All right, so let's go into a portion of the screen here and get into presenter mode. Okay, it's going to come. It's just a little slow here, but we're just setting it up. You're seeing some of the books, but you're going to see many more in a short while. Here we go. Wow, wow, wow. The great Dr. Clyde Winters. Here are just some of the titles of the books that our doctor has written. Pan-African Conscientious. It's just, you know, so much. When we think about your great works, you know, that's raising our consciousness, that's from a Pan-African centered perspective, that's looking, you know, at our history, you know, globally as well, because we know that we're a global people. So we've got titles like the Kushites, who, what, when, where, you know, we've got In Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, we've got the Mandi in the Asian Americas, we've got the Kushite, Prince, you know, I hadn't even heard of Prince Akindad, and the Roman Kushite War. Before Egypt, wow, the Mar Confederation, Africa's first civilization. We've got brain-based learning and special education. Wow, we've got, let me go on to the next slide here and share with you some more of the titles of the books written by Dr. Clyde. We've got the history of Blacks in America from prehistory to 1877. Wow. We've got a Common Core State Standards history there. We've got Blacks in Europe from prehistory. I mean, you've written more about Europe than I think any of the historians that I know of in Europe. Europe itself has actually written about history here. You know, world history of the Black race, African empires in Asian America. We are not just Africans, the Black Native Americans, the Black mound builders, and that's just a few family of some of the titles, because Dr. Clyde, you've written, I think, around 40 books, haven't you?
It's about 45, 46, something like that. I don't know.
45, 46 books and still writing. And so, you know, we are so privileged to have such an accomplished researcher and historian on our show. And, you know, he's not new to the platform. Dr. Clyde has done a number of presentations here, family. And it's so important that, you know, you teach your children your history. And once you've familiarized yourself with the history, that you do your own research as well. Go to the sources that have been mentioned, do further research, and then publish your own books. And this is what Dr. Clyde encourages us to do. So we've got a series of really powerful presentations about Europe, Black people in England, Black people in Europe as the first Indigenous people of the region. And these presentations, Dr. Clyde, I don't know if you ever go back and look at some of the comments, but they have caused so much controversy because the white world, the mainstream, you know, they have been so indoctrinated with a particular narrative that writes us out of history. Now that archaeology, the linguists, the geneticists, and all the other specialists and the scientists are revealing the fact that we were the original people, we populated the entire globe and actually had a history before the Europeans came along, they just can't take it. I don't know if you've been seeing some of the comments.
Well, sometimes I look at the comments, but you know, I shouldn't say this, but for a while I was the hated brother on the I was a hated brother on the internet, because the fact is that nobody could argue with me because you know, when I began, I used to be in a lot of the talk groups. And by being in a lot of the talk groups back in the day, and now they're in the various platforms like YouTube and all that. But in the past, it was in the various talk groups. So I was always in competition with a lot of other people with PhDs, all that other type of stuff. And so I had been able to put forward a lot of the facts relating to our history, you know, for over about 40 years, you know, because and I've been publishing really since I was in my 20s. And because the fact is that I learned how the Europeans did it. And so I would watch how they wrote an article. So I would write an article the same way and they would publish it. And they thought I was a PhD, but no, I was just a 20-year-old brother, you know. Well, I was 24, 25, you know. Yeah. And so over the years, I was able to, you know, to build up a lot of articles, and by building up a lot of articles, then therefore, in a sense, I was able to get a pattern. Like I have over about 240 published papers, many of peer reviewed, and then I've done hundreds of presentations up until when I retired. Up until when I retired in 2016, I used to do 2 presentations a year. You know, yes, you know, because what I was trying to do is to keep teachers informed and stuff like that. And then also, I was lucky enough to teach at Governor State University in Chicago, and out in Illinois. I taught there for 10, 11 years. Then I taught at St. Xavier for 3 years. So that's a university in the city of Chicago. So, you know, I was blessed. I was blessed. And, you know, I wouldn't have wrote all these books when my wife died. Oh, and I miss my wonderful very much, but when she died in 2020, I didn't have anybody to control me anymore. Because see, back in the day, I used to have to do research in the middle of the night or early in the morning. And if I went downstairs, my wife said, "Clyde, get up here, Clyde." She'd wake up in the middle of the night. If I wasn't in that bed, get up here now. That's why if you notice, most of my books have been published, since she died in 2020. But I was very lucky. God bless me with a good wife, a good woman. We were married for 50 years, and we were friends for 52. So I was very lucky. I'm very lucky because I can be lonely, but I'm not alone because I have faith in God. And because I have faith in God, I always know I'm not alone, And she gave me some children, gave me 5 boys and 1 girl. So they act like they love me,
I'm sure they do.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I don't know about that.
You've got your entire community around you as well. We're all here. May not be physically, but just at the other end of the phone or the other end of Zoom, we're all here. We love and appreciate you so, so much for the works that you do. And for bringing us all of this knowledge, and for not just simply retiring and putting your feet up, but, for continuing to do all of the works that you're doing. And you've done so much in the last few years as well. So, so much. The 100 or so presentations that you did over your career, I'm sure you're doing about 100 presentations a year now, aren't you?
Well, if the people want me to come on, I like you and Quentin and Dewan, Dewan and other people, but I try to stay out of politics. Then I'm with Reverend Matthews, every Thursday so far.
Yes.
So and I try to. I try to share the knowledge I have to the best of my ability. But I'm just so happy that people like you have. I know it's in good hands. When I first started talking with Reverend Matthews, I'd asked the community, please come. Pick up the burden of doing research, and then people like you and Amra and Baked and. You guys, you came on board, B-Man, Yoshimad, you guys came on board and you guys decided in the sense that you're going to contribute. And so I can die happy. And the reason I can die happy is I know that even though I'm gone, I know that you guys are going to keep on fighting. You guys are going to keep on teaching. And I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you, Shanice. And the reason I'm proud, family, is that, I did a class, a special class for just people in the UK, because I was tired of people in the UK always talking about Amos Wilson and John Henry Clark and all the brothers over here, and I wanted to see people over in the UK be the scholars for their own people, because you guys have stories that we don't know about. You got stories. I mean, a lot of you guys grew up over there and all that racism, discrimination, and you were successful. We need those stories out. And what makes me so proud, so proud of Shanice, is that she's taken her skills and written 2 great books. And these books tell so much of the story of our people. And she made 2 good books. And what makes the book so good is that the books can be useful if you're an adult, and they can also be helpful for the children. And her last book is so beautiful. Her book on Africa is so beautiful. The illustrations are so beautiful. They're colorful. Damn, it makes me just want to woo. It makes me just imagine. It makes me imagine being back in the day and being part of that history, being part of that. And that's what makes the research of Shanice so good, is that she finds artists who can really represent those periods and really put life into it. And that's very important, very important.
Thank you so, so much. And, you know, it's your encouragement on the program and your inspiration that has brought about those books. You know, had it not been for you, I probably wouldn't have written them. You know, I definitely would have written them. And that paper, I definitely wouldn't have submitted it. But, you know, you're so encouraging as a tutor. I'm telling you, family, we're going to get some more classes out of Dr. Clyde, okay? So watch this space. We need more of us from the UK who are researching and writing. As Dr. Clyde is saying, we've got our own stories to tell about our experience, our parents' experience here in the UK, in Europe, and we need to be writing those histories. We need to be writing those books. And so let's come together and do that, okay? We've got so much to write about, you know, and you've done so, you know, there are a number of great presentations that our beloved has done for us on this platform. Please make sure you check them out. And we're going to be going deeper into some of these areas of study as well, because one of the beautiful things about the works that Dr. Clyde does, because we bring so many years of experience, you know, he doesn't just bring documentary evidence when he's talking about bringing the evidence of our history. You know, he's bringing the archaeological evidence, the genetic evidence, the law, what was happening during the time, the anthropological evidence. I mean, he's just packing it all in. And with that one about the origins of foundational Black British, we had a part 1 and part 2, and yet there are still so many more stories to tell. This area of our history, family, is vast. When we start even talking about, we haven't even started talking about the Black royals of Europe. We haven't even started talking about the Black Europes of Britain. We know they existed, but, you know, there is so much work to be done around that area. So Dr. Clyde, you know, we thank you so much for bringing the education, for bringing the knowledge, for sharing your expertise, you know, as a linguist, anthropologist, and so much more. You know, we're so grateful. And I think one of the presentations you did as well that caused a lot of controversy, and we've got to do so much more on this as well, is the one that you did on the Black Vikings and Celts of Britain. Oh my days. You know, these people, they believed they were the Vikings, you see, and they didn't know that we were the original Vikings, and they just can't take it. They just can't hack it. I mean, Hollywood has like convinced the world that the original Vikings were Europeans, you know, the tall blondes, so to speak. These are the Johnny come latelys. You know, we've been on the planet well over 1 million years at least. You know, and these people have just been around for a few thousand years, and they've stolen our history, our heritage, and here they are as imposters, you know, cloning our history. And now we're realizing, with the access to information that we have, the extent to which, you know, they've plagiarized everything that belongs to us. You know, they have been bamboozled as well. You know, their education system has bamboozled and indoctrinated their own people to believe their lies. But Dr. Winters, the work that you've been doing, Dr. Clyde, we are so grateful.
Thank you. But the research on the Vikings, that had to begin with the Queen Mother, and that's Dr. Marie Charles. And Dr. Marie Charles has had to sacrifice a lot to do the research that she does, but she's upset the whole world of all our thinking, the whole idea that your surname didn't come from a slave master, the Vikings, the Germans. You know, I mean, her research is so valuable. Her research is so important. I am so happy. I'm so happy that I met her. I'm so happy that I've been able to relate to her, and that she shared her knowledge with us. You know, and she's even been on your site, I think, a couple of times.
Yes, she has.
And she's supposed to come again. So I'm so excited about all the history that she's teaching us and all the knowledge that we can get from her. And I look forward to getting more, because as I said, is that she sacrifices a lot. You know, it's a lot that goes into this research game. And as I said, is that my wife, she saved me when I was younger. because I love her. I love her. Because I love her, she said, hell, you got to take care of me. She told me, you got to take care of me. you got to take care of your kids.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would have been an artist. And as an artist, you don't care about money. You don't care about anything except getting your work out. But my wonderful one, she taught me that you have to get a job, you have to work, you have to get mama what she wants. Because it's sisters like you, Shanice, that encourage us to do the work that we do. It was my wife who encouraged me, and just knowing, in a sense, the love that a Black woman can give you is just so wunderbar. It is so important, in that most of the time we never really allow ourselves to experience it, because slavery made our women not feel love, and most of our women will never feel love, because we always go back to our mothers, not my mother, but we always go back to the fact that our mothers always thought about their man was going to leave them, and usually the man did leave. Usually when it was time for him to stand up and take care of the family, he hit the road, And so then it's hard, in a sense, for our women to love, very hard. But again, if you can find a Black woman and you can allow her to love you, it is fantastic, because it's worth more than $20 billion.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Clyde. I hope you've just encouraged 1,000 African men to find an African woman to love that African woman, and to allow her to love them back in return. It's worth more than how many $1 billion did you say?
2 billion, 200 billion, a trillion, a quadrillion. Damn.
And this comes from a man who's experienced 50 years of marriage. So that says a lot. And, when a Black man and a Black woman comes together, it's priceless. And this is what, society is definitely trying to avoid. And, you say that, slavery made Black women not feel loved. Also, even the media industry, we was having this conversation yesterday on a radio show about relationships, Black relationships. And even the mainstream media makes Black women almost invisible. You don't see us starred in the movies. You don't see us as the one who the man who's rushing home to, who's bringing flowers to, who loves, who's prepared to, sacrifice his life for. We're just invisible there. And so, and to some extent, and a large extent, so are our men. And so, we do have those challenges where we're not represented in the media. And those groups that are represented in the media are the ones who tend to get all of the attention, don't they? So, thank you for sharing. We have to remind the family at every opportunity how beautiful Black love is, and Black love does still exist and will still exist, and we've got to make sure that we find it. Thank you so much. Okay, and family, check out some of the previous videos on this platform by Dr. Winters, Dr. Clyde Winters. They are absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for your great works. And today, I'm just closing the presentation. Today, we've got another great presentation lined up for you. But before we go into there, I just want to share with the family as well, Dr. Clyde, that I've got a new series happening on my sister channel. I've got a sister channel called African World Affairs. And so, family, if you're not already signed up to that channel, please do go over and subscribe. That's where I'll be if you can't find me on this one. Dr. Clyde, they've already taken down about 10 of my videos. Oh, they've taken down about 10 videos. They've demonetized the channel now. So
wow. Why? What was their excuse?
Oh, it's they're saying that contravened their policies, mainly around the pharmaceutical stuff. So they're going back through a lot of the old videos where we were talking the talk, because they're planning. They've got plans. They're coming back again, so they're cleaning up cleaning up so that when we do the research in 50 years, 100 years time, we're not going to find all this information that we are privy to right now.
It was a website back in 22. It was a website in 2022. It explained everything that was going to happen. They took that website down, but they're supposed to bring another pandemic in 2025. So be prepared. But the whole point is that they couldn't trick us. They couldn't trick us into taking that.
Hey, won't even say, because that's when they'll come after it. So we don't want to take this one down, but we need to have our own separate platform so we can really talk, isn't it, Dr. Clyde?
Yeah, we could, but it takes money and it takes money, it takes training, and they just set it up so that they can control everything anyway. But, because I did a video about a month ago with Quentin. And they took that down, but thereafter, because I made a mistake and talked too much about that stuff.
Oh, yeah. See, they're cleaning all their platforms. They're cleaning it of that discussion because it's all of my discussions and my guests that discussed it. They were bringing facts. They were bringing information, valid information, but of course they don't want the information out there. So. Family, you know what we're talking about, okay? So, my apologies. I haven't even welcomed our audiences yet. Welcome, family, everybody in the house. We welcome you. Hey, let me go into my phone and see if I can find the chat. That's because, here we go. Family, sincere apologies. Welcome to everybody in the house. I hope you've been enjoying the conversation that I've been having so far with Dr. Clyde. And you know what we're talking about. Let's make sure, sorry, I don't want to get the feedback. Yes, I can see the families in the house. Sister Afri Jamo, welcome. We've got Go Travel Abroad in the house. Sister Baguette, rise up. She was another student there of Dr. Clyde's and went on to write a book as well. Welcome in the house. Brother Kwame Ossi in the house. Welcome. Yes, the family's in the house and they are messaging away. Wonderful to have you, each and every one of you. See, one thing about when I wear my glasses, you see, I can actually see the fine print on this, but so apologies. I'm gonna, in the background, I'll get the messages up. And blow them up so that I can bring you the messages later. But for now, family, we are honored, we are privileged to have the great Dr. Clyde Winters in the house. He's got a presentation for us today. We are going to be learning, family, about the Garifunas. Wow, really looking forward to this presentation today.
Can I share the screen?
Yes, please, do go ahead.
Let's see if I can find the material. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. There we go. Screen sharing started. It just needs to go into slideshow mode. Ooh.
I hope I can find it.
Where's slideshow mode? Oh, you've got it at the bottom there, at the very bottom of the screen. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, now we're going to talk about the indigenous origin of the Garifuna. This is the screenshot. Of course, you can see my book at the bottom, Clyde Winters. World History of the Black Race. Check this book out. It'll tell you all the history. And of course, over on the right-hand side, we've got King Alpha. That book is by Shanice, Sister Shanice, the queen. And we also have, in a sense, the remarkable accomplishments of ancient African civilizations. As I told you, that book is beautiful. That book is beautiful. You should just buy the book for the illustrations. You don't even have to buy it for the material, but it'll make your kids just have a fit seeing such beauty. So you should try to check that out. Join me. I'm going to have a book signing event in Chicago this Sunday. This Sunday, I'm going to have a book signing event. It's going to be hosted by Afro Elite. And that's going to be from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 4801 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. So anybody in Chicago, if you're in Chicago on the 10th, on Sunday, come on out. I'd like to see you. I'm going to be selling some of my books, but if you've already bought copies of my books, bring your book in and I'll sign it. And, that could be money in the future, I mean, hey, who knows? So bring your books in. See you on Sunday. Join me. And join me with Afro Elite. And, you guys can ask me questions. You can buy books. It should be a pretty good affair. It's at the library. I grew up in that area back in the day when all the Black people was in the ghetto. We all had to live in Bronzeville or we lived on the west side. So this library at 48th in Michigan, I used to go there when I was a kid. It was also the place that used to have the Carter G. Woodson collection of books. So again, it's very exciting. See you on Sunday. Join me.
Awesome.
Okay, go to my Patreon. I'm going to put the slides in my Patreon. You can find me at Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. And you can follow me on TikTok.com at Clyde Winters 3. If you go to TikTok.com at Clyde Winters 3, you can view some of my shorts. Yoshimod and Quentin, they put a lot of shorts up from my various lectures. They've had about 500,000 views. You guys go look to it. Maybe they'll get up to 1 million. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, you can go to Clyde Winters YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel. I have just I have over 200 videos that deal with every aspect of history. But it's nothing about the Garifuna. This is the first time I've really done any research on the Garifuna, because the fact in the sense is that, Shanice, whenever I come and visit her show, Sister Shanice's show, I try to make sure that my presentations relate to either UK history or Caribbean history, because the fact in the sense is that you guys are the Baradanites. And I know in a sense that nobody likes to really acknowledge it, but because you're the Baradanites, because the fact in the sense that you guys are the rightful owners of the UK, even though you're in Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, etc. Even though you guys are there, that is your land. And when you go back, you're returning home. That's why they're very afraid of you. And that's why they do everything they can to make you feel inferior, do everything they can to make you feel afraid, because they don't want you to know your history. They don't want you to know the role you played in the UK. And that's where Sister Shanice and Marie Childs comes in, because these queens are spreading the knowledge, and they're giving you the knowledge that can help you to feel whole, because there's always a little emptiness in all of us. And just about all of us have caves. Caves is culturally acquired, immune identity, syndrome. And because of the fact, in the sense that caves, in a sense, is a debilitating disease. And what makes it debilitating is that we lose our identity, our Black identity. And we lose our immunity to our whiteness. And we think we're white temporarily. And we hurt each other. We hate each other. We can't love each other. And we have to fight this. And the only way we can fight this is looking at the history. The only way we can fight this is joining Sister Shanice every Wednesday on a radio program, and here on her various YouTube channels, because it's here that you can get that shot of Blackness, that shot of who you are, so you can move forward. So don't ever give up on the fact that you're the Baradanites. You can order my books at Amazon.com. And Pathfinder, this is my book, Pathfinder. And Pathfinder explained how I became an Afrocentric researcher. And this book is very important to me. I talk about my wife. I talk about how I met her. I talk about how I became a researcher. I talk about the fact is that in Pathfinder, I explained how when I was 10 years old, yes, when I was 10 years old, I decided I would become an explorer. You see, the smarter I got, the darker I got. Thank you, God. That's a picture of me when I was 10 years old back in the day.
Oh,
You know, I immediately became sad because when I was in 5th grade, that's when you're 10, I immediately became sad because I remember that everything had just about already been discovered during the age of exploration. As a result, I decided that I was going to be an explorer of historical events relating to African people. By being the first human being to discover new history, yes, I wanted to be the first human being to discover new history. And that's what I've been doing for the past, The past 40, 50 years. Over the next 60 years, I've been writing a true and accurate account of our history and culture in Africa and around the world. Get my book, The World History of the Black Race. In this book, you'll find out about every Black civilization that ever existed. And it's new ones that I'm finding out about too, because it was in the last 3 years that I found out about the Sioux civilization. And I'm still trying to really write a definitive history of the Anu civilization. The Anu, or the Twa people, they ruled the world from 10,000, they ruled the world from around 10,000 BC, all the way up to 4,000 BC, 6,000 years, yes. Those little people who big guys like us always want to steal their women. No, we always feel sure women are pretty. But the point is that the Twa were a great people. I want to get that history done one day, but it's hard. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. That's what Marcus Garvey taught us. Marcus Garvey taught us that we have to have a foundation. That's why you come here every Wednesday. That's why you tune in to Sister Shanice's radio show, because you want to get that foundation. You want to get that knowledge so you know who and what you are. The indigenous origin of the Garifuna. On the right hand, up in the left hand corner, we have the jade pendant, that comes from down in Belize. And if you notice, this jade pendant is the blue jade. You see, many people don't know that in Africa they have many artifacts made of jade, but the jade in Africa is like this jade. It's not green, it's blue. But that's jade. And on the on the right-hand side, we see one of the kings. It was many Black kings in Central America. One day I want to really write a definitive book on it. The story goes that Black people came to America as slaves is a lie. This is especially true of the Garifuna, also known as the Garanag. The Eurocentrists claim that the Garifuna are the descendants of slaves, but they're really, in a sense, an Afro-Indigenous people, you see. And although they always tell you that they were settled from St. Vincent, the Garifuna have always been in Central America. They've been there for thousands of years. People say they're slaves, but this begs the question, is this true? The answer is no. Blacks have been in Mexico and Central America for thousands of years. In 1946, Black Mexicans were rediscovered by Aguirre Beltran when he found the Blacks in Costa Chica. This was a rediscovery because the idea of mestizaje stressed the idea that there were only Mexicans and not American Indians. There had to have been only whites or Blacks. The only problem with this idea was that Black Mexicans became associated with poverty and ignorance. And when they talked about Black people in Mexico, Black people in Central America, they usually talked about the Black people that lived on the Gulf Coast, because they claimed that all the Black people that lived on the Gulf Coast had come there as slaves during the slavery period. But in 1946, when Aguirre Beltran, when he found, in a sense, these Black people who always existed, when he found these Black people on the West Coast of Mexico in Costa Chica, he said, damn, how the hell did you get here? And they told him that our family had never been slaves. Nobody in our family was slaves. And they couldn't believe that. And if you notice, I think it's only been in a couple of years that in Mexico, they began to put on the census forms questions about being Black, because many Mexicans are very racist. Many of them are Nazis. and they hate us. And the reason they hate us is because whenever they look at examples of their ancient history, they never see their faces. They don't see faces of mestizos or faces of whites. They see faces of Black people. And this is scary. This is scary for people who want to be superior, and yet they don't have it. The Negro Costa Chicanos claim that they have been freed, and they are indigenous to Guerrero and Oaxaca on the Pacific coast of Mexico. The 1990 Mexican census recorded 66,000 Negro Costa Chicanos. Those Mexicans live in African-style huts and practice rituals which may be of African origin. Most researchers believe that the Negro Costa Chicanos are descendants of Maroons or runaway slaves, but none of the Blacks of Costa Chica have any knowledge about slavery. They don't have any songs about hardships. The Negro Costa Chicano, they say, and I quote, they are not, they insist, the descendants of African slaves. There was never slavery here, even in ancient times. This is scary. Can you imagine how scary this is? Because the European, he has to always feel that all Black people in the Western Hemisphere in the New World had to have been slaves, or their ancestors had to have been slaves, because that legitimizes the terrible things that they did to us, the way they treated us, the way they continue to treat us. You see. But to have some people, the Negro Costa Chicanos, and to have them say that they had never been slaves, that was scary. Bobby Vaughn noted that he found, and I quote, no consciousness of slavery among people in Costa Chica. Another researcher noted that housewives in San Jose, Estancia Grande, and Tapachula, in Costa Chica, said their ancestors did not come from Africa, that their families have always lived right here. That's a question. How could they say they've always been right here when the European, when he said that, no, you came here as a slave? Here's a local Costa Chicano, Negro Costa Chicana. The fact that the Negro Costa Chicano claims they were never slaves has troubled some researchers who believe that Blacks in Mexico came to the New World with the Spanish. That's what they believe, you see? Although this is a popular view concerning the origin of Blacks in Mexico, this view may be Eurocentric because the archaeological and historical evidence indicates that Blacks were already in Mexico when the Spanish made their way to Mexico. Really, the name of Mexico is Mexica. Mexica. Ma means, in a sense, lords. She means Black, and Ka means land. So Mexica means lords of the Black lands. Yes, yes. In beliefs around 2100 BC, we see evidence of agriculture. Iconography of this period depicts Africoid, yes. And at Ixapa, we find, in a sense, it was here that the calendar was probably made. In addition, numerous sculptures of Blacks dating to the second millennium BC have been found at La Venta, Chiapas, Teotihuacan, Atizco, and also throughout Belize, Honduras, Guatemala. All these places where the Garifuna are places where the oldest artifacts are of Black people. Although the oldest artifacts are Black people, it is sad that the Black people in Belize do not even know that the original people in their culture were Black. They don't even see themselves, even in the schedules. Dr. John Morris, this is what he said. The one thing that strikes me immediately is that most oftentimes when we talk about the ancient Maya, we don't really hear about the stories of the individuals. You hear about the stories of the sites themselves, Tikal, Caracol, Palenque. We are just beginning to flesh out, like you read Roman history, you read Chinese history, ancient Chinese history, you talk about this emperor and that emperor. But in the Maya area, we're just beginning to be able to decipher these glyphs and talk about people. And so now here we have an individual. We have his name, we have where it came from, what types of alliances this was. So we can begin to build a chronology. We can begin to build stories. Yes, yes, yes. He's talking about the people who were at a site called Nemli Punit. And see, it was at this site. But even though the iconography. That means the pictures, that they engrave in stone depict an African person, a Black person. He don't even see his relationship to that. He doesn't even see that these people were Black. He talks that the Maya are a different entity from himself. And see, this is just shows how Cades, culturally acquired immune identity, deficiency syndrome, how this affects us, how it makes us so that even when we see images of Black people, we don't even see ourselves. And this is how we've been conditioned. The British are supposed to have exiled the ancestors of the Garifuna to the Honduran coast in the 18th century. From there, they're supposed to have moved to Belize. Presently, the Garifuna live in villages along the coast. Although this is the view of many researchers, it would appear that many of the sub-pyramids, like those at Shultun, were built by Black Mayan people. This, in a sense, is this area we see of the Caribbean, this area of Central America. This area today is that, yes, people acknowledge the fact that the Caribbean is a place that has been built, that was built by Black people. It was Black people that built those island nations, but it was also Black people who built the ancient nations. You see, last time I talked about the Carib people who lived in Jamaica and other places. But see, there were also people on the coast, and these people on the coast in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua, these places were places where civilizations were built, great civilizations, by people like you, by people like me, people like us. In reality, you find in a sense that here's some pictures. These are some of the artifacts that date back over 4,000 years ago. Yes, they found these artifacts of Black people in Mexico that are over 4,000 years old. You see, here's some more figures that they found. And yet, if you try to tell anyone that the pre-classical Mexicans were Africans, or that there were even Black people in Central America, they'll argue you down. They'll call you a liar. They'll call you a race baiter. They'll say that you're trying to take away their history. No, the history is yours, it's not theirs. The earliest culture founded by Blacks in Mexico was along the Pacific Coast region. That's around, Costa Chica. And this is called the Macaya tradition. The Macaya tradition was situated on the Pacific coast of Mexico, in Soconusco. Here they lived in sedentary village life, and they began around 2000 BC. By 1700 BC, we see many African communities in the Mazatlan region. This is called the Barter phase, or Ococos complex. It's very important to remember is that these civilizations existed in Mexico and Central America 1,000 years before the Olmec came from Africa. Yes, the Olmecs came from Africa. But when the Olmecs came from Africa to Mexico, there was already Black civilizations. That was the Mocaya and the Bara. During the Bara phase, these Blacks built villages and made beautiful ceramic vessels, often with 3 legs. They also made a large number of effigies. This is a figurine of an Ocos. This is a figurine of one of the Ocos tribal members. As you can see, it's a female figure, and this is from Suriname. And as you can see, this person, the Ocos, and they claim that the Ocos are the ancestors of the Maya. And if when you look at this picture of this woman, you can see in a sense that she was an African woman. You can see the rose in her hair. You can see the distinctiveness. You see the earrings. You see the fleshy lips, the beautiful nose. Because see, this is our ancestors. But they don't ever tell you that the Ocos were in a sense an African. They just say those were the ancient Maya. But they were you. They were me. They were us. There's another picture of this Ocos woman. There was also Blacks in another tradition, and that's the Mocaya tradition. These people were not Olmecs. The civilization of the Mocaya tradition began 700 years before the Olmecs arrived in Mexico. And this is another figurine of a Mocaya woman. You know, many other figurines are very interesting that date back to this early period. They're mainly in a sense of women. Some people say it's because of the fertility. I don't know why it was, but maybe it's because of the fact that we recognize that a sister is our goddess. You know, when we call our women, when we look at our women, we call them and we tell them how beautiful they are. When we look at our women and we call them queens and goddesses, it's because it's the truth. Because it was from the queen, it was from our Black women that we became who we are. And it's from our Black women who are fighting today to give us that sense of being, that sense of who and what we are. And here's a lady from the Mukaya tradition. It's becoming increasingly clear that Olmec played a prominent role in the rise of civilization. In Guatemala, we find jaguar stucco masks on the pyramids of El Morando, at Cerros, structure 5C, and at Tikalik and Ushashatun. You see, these jaguar masks are identical to the Olmec jaguar masks found at Stelo C. Tres Zapatas, the sarcophagus of Monument 15, La Vinta. You know, and we also, in a sense, see that it was at this time that we see the earliest elements of the Guatemalan writing, which is really, in a sense, what they call epi-Olmec. You see, and see, the purpose of this particular presentation is to compare the symbols and to even give you some decipherment. Yes, I'm going to decipher some of these inscriptions written by the various people who lived in Guatemala. Most researchers have assumed that the pyramids was built by the Mongoloid Maya. Although this is the popular view, these pyramids were probably built by the Olmecs, and the Maya probably built a new pyramid over the original Olmec pyramid. In fact, you're going to find that under many of the pyramids that we imagine that was built by Mongoloids, we find that under these pyramids, we don't really see any pictures of Mongoloid Indians. We don't see any pictures of Mongoloid Maya. In the sub-pyramids that these other pyramids are built over, we find Black people. Under many pyramids found in Guatemala and Belize, we find stucco model jaguar pyramids. These pyramids with jaguar masks and large earrings predate the Mayan pyramids. Here you can see some of the pyramids, and as you can see from this cutaway, you can see that these pyramids from Ushashatun, from Cerros, and from Tikal, you can see how these pyramids that have stucco masks that go back to Mayan Olmec times, as you can see that the Maya, they had people built over these pyramids so they could try to deny the history of Black people. You know, it's not just today. Very important to remember. It's not just today that Mongoloid, Asiatic, everybody on the planet Earth is always trying to deny the history of Black people. It's always been that case because they're very jealous of us, you see. And the reason that they're very jealous of us is because the fact is that they can't compete with us. Mm-hmm. See? They can't compete with us in sports. They can't compete with us educationally. They can't compete with our women. I mean, we got the finest women on the planet, you see. And even that symbol, what is that symbol of a handsome man? Tall, dark, and handsome. Anyway, this is what they teach. But as you can see, under many of the pyramids, we find sub-pyramids, or we find the original pyramids that don't have Mongoloid people, you see. For example, here's an image from a pyramid at Bartolo. And in this pyramid, you can see the Black women, you can see the Black people on the boat, you can see the beautiful artistic work. And so, you know, often we're taught in a sense that a lot of our art is primitive. A lot of our art, in a sense, doesn't really relate and show the beauty of the physical form. They always like to, in a sense, talk about the abstract art that comes from medieval Africa. But as you can see, you know, Black people have also did artwork that showed exactly how the people looked, exactly how the people, in a sense, were represented. For example, when you read some of the inscriptions that they left, we can see, look at the inscription on the far left-hand side. It says Liota. Indeed, the vivid image of the race is here. And I guess, you know, a lot of times you're going to find in many of the ancient inscriptions that were written by these Black people, you're going to always find them talking about the image of the race, where they came from. And I think because the fact is that we don't want to think that there was competition. But see, people are always, other races have always been jealous of us. See? And because they've been jealous of us, a lot of times it puts us into a mode of confrontation. But this is a painting from San Bartolo. See, here's the governor, and the governor at San Bartolo. Because see, here's a picture of him. You see with his beard. His name was Tali. What you had in many centers is that in in the Americas, like in Africa, people lived in confederations. Because they lived in confederations, that means in a sense that it would be a chief king, and this chief king, he would be in a sense the ruler over all these various other city states. And so many of the so instead of in a sense calling many of these people a direct king, they would call them a governor, you see. And this is a mural of King Tali sitting on a pyramid. And this comes from San Bartolo, you see. In the inscriptions, he's referred to as a ku. And ku is the word for governor. Two in the ancient languages of, in a sense, Central America was the name for the kings. Here's a palace. Here's a king at a Shultun pyramid, and in the Shultun pyramid, on the left hand side, we can see a picture. We can see a picture of the king, and then if you look on the right hand side, you can see these pictures of these Black figures, and those three Black men, they're the architects. They're the architects that built the pyramid at Shultun, you see. Today, they tell our kids and they tell our people that our kids can't be anything. Our kids can't be doctors. Our kids can't be lawyers. Our kids can't be architects. But see, as you can see, we were building these beautiful pyramids. Some of the largest pyramids in the world have been found in Mesoamerica. Mesoamerica, that means Mexico, all the way down through Central America. Some of the most beautiful and largest pyramids. And these pyramids were built by people like you. You see? Black people like me, Black people like us. And yet, that's why you need to get Sister Shanice's book, The Remarkable Accomplishments of Ancient African Civilization, so your kids can see that they are, in a sense, gifted, that so they can see that they aren't just drug dealers, or they aren't just, in a sense, people who had to be, rappers and all that, that there is a future. But our kids can only see this future when they, in a sense, can see our history and when they can fight caves. And the only way you can fight caves culturally, acquired identity, immunity to fishing syndrome, is by giving them history, giving them love of themselves. You better buy that book by Sister Shanice. Here's another image of the king. And see, what I found during my research is that often, if you look at this figure, you can see the helmet that he wears. Often the names of the kings, are written in the helmets that they wear, or what we would call the headdresses. You see. And so this is one of the kings at Shultun. You see, again, these are the architects, and above the architects, I don't know if you can. Oh, let me go back. Above the architects over here, I don't know if you can see my pointer. This inscription, when you break it down, it says La Alu Ifebe, you say too. And what this means, in a sense, is that these are the three architects that built the pyramid at Shultun. And La Lu Ifebe Lu say too. It means to erect the amazing, robust family habitation of love. These are the tomb builders to realize this abode. And see, it's very important to understand is that our ancient people, they used what was called a syllabary. And they use a syllabary, and a syllabary, in a sense, is that a syllabary is made up of monosyllabic signs. And monosyllabic signs are signs that have a consonant and a vowel, you know. And so then in a sense is that so these people, these inscriptions are telling you that it was these three architects that built that pyramid. You see, the pyramids in Central America and the archaeological evidence from Mexico make it clear that Blacks were living in Western Mexico. It was probably from this area that the Black Maya, the Ocos, expanded into Central America. John Morris, remember we talked about John Morris earlier, and he's the head of the archaeological department in Belize. Okay. You know, John Morris, you know, he's talking about individuals. And see, let's look at this king. He's talking about this king over here. Look at that brick on the right-hand side. This is the king. Look at this king. Big lips, wide nose, etc. Yet John Morris, he couldn't even see himself in that picture. This shows that Morris, like other Blacks in Belize, failed to see themselves in the history of the land due to caves. Culturally acquired immune identity deficiency syndrome. In 2015, at Nim Lipunet, archaeologists found a jade pendant. This pendant was found around the neck of a Mayan king at Nim Lipunet. It is dated to between 150 AD to 850 AD. The site's name means big hat. The name was based on the big hat worn by the Mayan king who had worn the jade pendant around his neck. I know a lot of you guys are saying, how can Dr. Winters read the Mayan inscriptions? I know y'all just saying, here come another nig, talking about he can read some, and how can he read it when the white man can't read it? You see, this comes from the fact is that people always believe that unless the white man tells you something, it must not be true. But see, the reason that I'm able to decipher the Mayan inscriptions is because of the fact that I found a bilingual Olmec Mayan inscribed brick from a place called Comalcalco. Comalcalco is a Mayan archaeological site found in Tabasco. Here, archaeologist Neil Steed found over 4,000 inscribed bricks at the Comalcalco site. And this is a very interesting site. Neil Steed became interested in this site in 1979. He obtained permission to photograph the bricks from the National Museum of the Archaeology and History. I don't know if you guys can see it because on my screen I'm in front of it, but this is the bilingual Olmec and Mayan inscription. Many of the inscribed bricks from the Comalcalco ruins were published by Neil Steed in a bilingual book entitled Preliminary Catalog of the Comalcalco Bricks. On brick T1452R16 is a very special brick. This brick has a bilingual Mayan Olmec inscription. In this inscription, we see a Mayan inscription, and beside it, on the right-hand side, is an Olmec Malinke inscription. You see, the Olmec writing used on this brick is a plain Olmec style writing. The plain Olmec style writing was usually used to inscribe Celt and other Olmec artifacts. What many of you may not understand is this, is that there's what's called a substratum language. You'll find it when we look at every Mayan language, Quechua, Quiche, Yucatec, that the sub-language of these languages, even though they're spoken by Mayan people, is the Malinke-Bambara language. This was first discovered by Leo Weiner when he wrote a book called African Discovery of America. And what you find in a sense is that we know from the historical literature that many of the leaders of the community had to learn a special language. And they used this special language to write the Mayan inscriptions. That's how we know about, that's how I was able to find out the real name of the Olmec people. The real name of the Olmec people is not Olmec, that means rubber. And they called them Olmec because they lived in an area where rubber was grown. So they just called they called the people there the Olmec people. But the Olmec people, they really called themselves she, because of the fact, in a sense, that they call themselves she based upon the fact that they belong to the Malinki Bambara group. This is the book. The way I met Neil Steed is this: is that back in 1979, I deciphered some Olmec writing, and so you may have heard of a guy called Alexander von Buddenholm. Well, Alexander von Buddenholm, he was a German aristocrat. He wrote a lot of books on blacks in ancient Mexico. So he heard about my decipherment. So we went on a lecture tour in 1980. But anyway, he told Neil Steed to contact me, and I could tell him about what these inscriptions were. And so, and this is from his book, and it was written in English and Spanish. You know, at the top we see, in a sense, we see the information about this brick written in Spanish. At the bottom of the page, we see it's written in English. And so Neil Steed, he asked me, I'm the one who told him about all the different languages, because he Comacalco, it was really, I think, a university. The Comacalco site encompasses around 360 pyramids, yes. Here, almost all the structures were built of fired bricks, tabeliques. Between 1977 and 1978, 9 of these pyramids were excavated. Comacalco is located in the state of Tabasco. It was built by the Chantal. It is the only city in Mexico built entirely of brick. I think that these pyramids, I think these were classrooms, and I think that people had come to Comacalco to be able, in a sense, to learn the various languages, because Mexico was not isolated; it was training with the rest of the world. We know, in a sense, that they found in Egypt cocaine mummies. What do I mean? What I mean is this: they found mummies in Egypt that had cocaine in their systems. And we know, in a sense, that if they had cocaine in the system, and the only place that cocaine comes from is South America, there had to have been some trade. And so I think that Comacalco was a university where the scholars who lived in Mexico back in ancient days would go and learn the various languages so they could trade with people all over the world. Comacalco means the house of earthenware in Nahuatl. This Mayan site is interesting architecture. For example, the Great Acropolis, probably used for civil and religious purposes. In addition to building fine temples, walls, and altars, that fine stucco used to face their construction, which resemble images on the sub-pyramids of many Mayan sites that have a knowledge of the Olmec iconography. Again, as you can see, this figure on the right-hand side, we see that Olmec constant picture that also showed up on those pyramids that I told you about earlier. He was advised by Dr. Alexander von Buddenholm to send me copies of the bricks to determine if I could identify the writing on some of the bricks that appeared to Steed as similar to scripture used in the Old World. In advance of his publication of the Comacalco catalog, after an examination of the photographs, I spotted the bilingual Olmec Maya inscription. I immediately recognized that the T1 452 R16 brick appeared to be, to be, in a sense, written in both Mayan and Olmec inscriptions. To test this hypothesis, I suggested to Steed that he decipher the Mayan inscription, and I would decipher the Olmec passage, which had been partially defaced. Steed agreed to this test. He then divided the inscription into 3 segments. We were both to decipher, and we began our decipherments, you see. So he deciphered the Olmec side, which is on the left-hand side. I deciphered he deciphered the Mayan on the left-hand side. I deciphered, in a sense, the Olmec Malinki Bambara on the right-hand side. And so what we did is that we deciphered it, and then we sent letters to each other once we deciphered it to see if we had reached similar conclusions. So again, this is this again, you can see the various decipherments of this writing, because see what it is that I found, in a sense, is that often when the Maya would write inscriptions, when they wrote the inscriptions, they would put together, in a sense, various, monosyllabic signs together, and they would use these monosyllabic signs to make pictures. So I sent a copy of my decipherment, and so when I translated the Olmec plain script, I found Abiki Ani Yofe Tilu. And this means thou exist incomplete. Here's the manifestation of life, a talisman in this proximity. Give birth to this funerary habitation. You see. And he said that the signs of the Mayan glyphs, Kufe, the jaguar god of the underworld, Tebe, Bitu. And so then we both had similar interpretations. And because we both had similar interpretations, then we were able to say, I was able to say, aha, they have to be related. And so because of the fact that I found this bilingual Olmec Mayan inscription, I'm able, in a sense, to read the various inscriptions that the Maya have left. The bilingual text from the T1452R16 indicates that the Mayan scribes had to learn how to write Olmec inscriptions and translate them into Mayan. The fact that the Olmec inscriptions were defaced indicate that the Mayan scribes, while they studied Mayan writing, first wrote a piece in Olmec and then wrote the same inscription in the Mayan language. You see, that's why if you notice that you can see how the other inscriptions were kind of, in a sense, defaced, but you can see that how they first used these Olmec signs, and then they used the Olmec signs to later make the signs that we know of as the Mayan inscriptions. You see, we know the name of the Olmec from the Maya. Landa noted that the Yucatec Maya said that they got writing from a group of foreigners called Tuto Xiu from Nonohuaco. The Olmec originated writing in Mexico, so we can assume that the term Tuto Xiu refers to the Olmec. The Tuto Xi were probably Olmec. The term Tuto Xiu can be translated in the Olmec, which is a member of the Manding superfamily of languages, as follows. Tuto, very good subjects of the order. Xiu, the Xi, the race. The Xis, who are very good subjects of the code order. The term Xi, see, in Spanish, they pronounce the X, the letter X, they pronounce it as sh. That's why, in a sense, you can see this that the X is pronounced as like the Malinki Membara. Okay, the term shi is probably related to the Manding term si, which was also used as an ethnonym. Since shi was used as an ethnonym, the Tutu Xiu were the Olmec people. That's I call the Olmec by their own name, shi. You know, many people, due to my research, have been calling the Olmec shi for the past decade. These are some of the various Olmec signs. And as you can see, you can look across, and as you can see these signs, they show you the signs. If you had a B to an A, we get ba, be, bi, bo, bu, etc. You know. And so again, in a sense, I use these signs to be able to read the various Mayan inscriptions. If you want to find out more about this, you can get my book on the Olmec language. Okay, here's an example. Let's look at this. Here we see an inscription. And as you see, I can break that down, and I can break it down into what? Bo, to. Bo, to, e. And that means what? E means thou. You know, be means to give. So beto e means thou gives salutations. There's another inscription, the second one we can find. So look at that inscription. Offhand, you're saying, damn, what is that? But when you break down these various signs, you can see that it says Kibota Tuku. And that means keys. That was it. This comes from a pyramid. I mean, this comes from a burial, you know, on a tomb, you know. And it says, Kibo Tatuku, Keys Ghost is sacred object. This abode is its possession, you see? Then you can see there's another inscription, the third one. You see how the hand is called Bo? Then we get the key, and then we get the lu, and then we have the two. Kibulu Gyo Po2. That means Keys Ghost rests upright as a talisman, effective in providing one with virtue in this pure resting place. And then you can see the final one, number 4. Again, you can see how you break these signs down. And so even though these are hieroglyphs, all they really are not really, in a sense, just pictures, but these pictures are made up of the various signs. And when you break these signs down, that allows you to read it. And the reason I can read the Mayan writing is because of the fact that I found, when Neil Steed found those various bricks from Comacalco, what it allowed me to do is that it allowed me to find, in a sense, a bilingual inscription. And this bilingual inscription allows me to be able to read all the Mayan inscriptions. That's why the Europeans, they say they can read some of them, then they make up some gibberish. But by me being able to find that bilingual text, then I'm able to read all the inscriptions. Nimli Punet was discovered in 1976 by Joseph O. Palacio. He named the site in the Quechua language. And so Nimli Punet means large headdress. And if you look up it on the left-hand side, you can see the picture on the right-hand side. When you look up on the right-hand side, the top picture, this is a picture of the king the king that's on the stela from Nimli Punet. And this king, in a sense, he has a large headdress. And so they called the site, in a sense, Nimli Punet, a large headdress based on the Quechua language. The major find at Nimli Punet was stela number 15. The first archaeologist to work at Nimli Punet was Norman Hammond. The site includes a small plaza, many monuments, and a ball court. The researchers found 26 stelae. Stela 15 was found lying near stela 14. The stela is 3.9 by 1.9 meters. It is interesting. This stela is interesting. They can see the full stela that they have a drawing of it. It's interesting. It tells us about King Bu. The upper register consists of 4 rows of glyph blocks. The reason I'm kind of late is that I was trying to do the inner circle and translate it before the show, but I was being held up. The glyphs are read from right to left, top to bottom. So when we read, in a sense, when we look at line, here you can see the lines. We have line 1, the top, those are the top hieroglyphs. Then we go to the second group of hieroglyphs, we go down. Then we go to the third and the fourth, And so the first line reads, pure, strong, and vigorous, the governor that established the foundation of this place. He is consecrated to the cult and pure is his joyous, sacred supporter offering. The support is a sacred object. To comprehend the divinity is the mission. The pure, strong governor is sacred. The pyramid, a dormitory. They call they say la and it means dormitory, but I think it also could have meant pyramid. Is a large hemisphere tomb. The supporter exists in a unique state, obedient to the code. Indeed, superior merit, the sacrifice of the owner of the habitation of the family to the mystic order held upright. So that's what we read in all those various hieroglyphs on line 1, and we read it from right to left. Okay, line 2. Now we're down to line 2. Ownership of the dormitory pyramid is partisan. It acts like a rising star. Indeed, propriety to discover. The level serves the pyramid as a refuge subject to the king The tomb is pure. Purity, admiration of the governor, fashion wonder at this moment with mysterious faculties. It is impregnated with the spirit of tranquility, a holy talisman. Sacred Boo, because we find in a sense that the name of the individual in this tomb is called Boo. Sacred Boo is a superior ruler. This pure Ba is endowed with mysterious faculties. Command to hold upright at this moment the sacred birth and erection on the flat terrain. Hold upright the pyramid. The pyramid indeed is a large hemisphere tomb, a pure inheritance. Hold it upright. And on the third line, we find the Ajal. Ajal was the word for Lord. The Ajal place of rest is here, and the estate is comfortable. He's in the company of perfect fate as a governor, the sacred commandment. Thou art obliged to respect the vital spirit of the governor. Order prolonged, moral approval. Good. No vice at the governor's good abode. Your destiny is possession the governor's abode to realize no vice. The divinity represented by the bird mask impregnates the Ba. The flat terrain is grand. The supporter is an envoy on a mission put to bed indeed. Inside the sacred family habitation on the flat terrain, offer libation to the supporter. That would be Boo. The supporter of the divinity of the cult is a superior talisman. I found it very interesting when I was reading this stuff is that these people, they belong to, it was two different cults among the Olmec people, and it seems as though they carried this into Mayan times. You had the bird cult, and then you had, in a sense, the jaguar cult, and it appears that King Bu was a follower of the bird cult. That's why they talk about the bird mask. This is the fourth line, or the bottom line. The purity consecrated to the divinity, because see, they always, in a sense, they talk about God, and so the king, in a sense, was supposed to have a direct relationship with God, because he was a pure law. The sacred hemispheric tomb pyramid designed libation, offering merit to the family habitation. Thou art obliged to the order of purity in the vivid image of the race. The superior pyramid unblemished place, a joyous place, is this hemisphere tomb in possession of a grand character. Gone to bed is a supporter, to the sacred propriety in its inheritance. The property of the vital spirit is filled with the principle of life. The supporter is gone to bed, caused to remain here the conferring of all his virtue, existing in a unique state of happiness, like the rising of a star. The governor holds upright at the moment the divinity. The supporter's body and the supporter's soul are infinite. Give life to the domicile. Hold upright this place of rest. So again, you can see that from this particular group of inscriptions, the hieroglyphs, we find in a sense that the pyramids in which the kings were buried were considered to be holy sites, and that it seems as though people could visit these sites, and when they visit these sites, by visiting sites, they were able to find, in a sense, grace. They were able, in a sense, to find blessings, because it appears that people felt back then that if you were able, in a sense, to go to sites where there were righteous people, then they could give you, in a sense, blessings, you see. Okay, after you find, in a sense, we already went over the top register, but then, in a sense, we also have this middle register. And this middle register is interesting, but the whole thing tells us about King Bu. The King Bu is situated between two other figures on the right and the left, and three short center panels. One of the reasons that I did not get back to is that I really, in a sense, I had deciphered most of this months ago, but I didn't, in a sense, decipher the middle part. So I was deciphering the panel over the fire, you see, because when we look at this, we see in the middle, we see King Bu. On the right-hand side, we see one of his attendants, and then we see a woman in front of King Boo, and they seem to be throwing some type of nodules into the fire. So I wanted to read what that was, so I was working on that, and so I when I was working on it, I kind of got carried away. That's why I was kind of late getting to talk to you. Boo's headdress consists in the sense of four stages. You can see that's why they call it the B head. You can see the four stages of the headdress. There's three streamers that hang down from the side of the headdress. He wears a large, has large earrings. He has a trilobate jade pendant, like around his neck. You can see this is the jade pendant. Hammond said is the T on the front, and this T may represent the Kitchi word ik. The king also wears anklets and wristlets. He also has a belt with 3 human hanging heads. Plus he wears a loincloth. You can see the hanging heads on the belt there. And the king is standing over a bowl where he is scattering 18 nodules into a fire. In front of the king stands a woman. The woman appears to be old. She wears a tall headdress with bow ties. The woman wears a short cape and skirt. The woman's hand contains 10 nodules, and she throws them in the fire. I'm going to decipher that soon, but because I wanted to know why they were throwing those nodules into the fire. And we also find, in a sense, that the third figure to the far right in front of the male is a column of inscriptions. The man wears a flat headdress, and it points forward. It looks as though kind of is like a hook. And he wears, in a sense, ear flares and a bar pectoral. The man wears a belt with the head of a peccary. That's the around his belt. A peccary, that's an animal that looks kind of like a pig. I think you can find them in the Caribbean and definitely in Central America. The man wears a loincloth hanging down to his knees. His hands is open, and in the palm he has 10 nodules. So again, this is a ritual that they were spreading something. Jeez, okay, but then they also found, if you notice the figure, if you notice he had a pendant around his neck. So you can see this pendant, and this pendant around his neck, it had a T on it, but it also had inscriptions on the other side. And this is called the Belize pendant. The Belize jade pendant was found in Belize, near the contemporary village of Indian Creek. It's similar to smaller pendants that have been found in Chichen Itza in Mexico. It measures 7.4 inches wide and 4.1 inches high. It is 0.3 inches thick. Jeffrey Braswell discovered the pendant in 2015. This is a remarkable pendant of a Black Mayan king. Here you can see it has 30 hieroglyphs. These are the hieroglyphs on the figure. Okay. In the Nimli temple was located the second line of the pendant. This is where we find the name of the king who was wearing this pendant. The glyph is made up of a circle and 6 circle figures or dots, and a Suba glyph on the right side of the name glyph. The Suba glyph means give libations. The name is represented by the large blackened circles in the name glyph. The personage buried here was called Tabu or Bubu. There appears to be 3 blackened circles at the top of the hieroglyph and 3 blackened circles at the bottom of the glyph. If the 3 circles at the bottom of the name Bu do not represent Bu, it may mean C, which means march of destiny, to deserve, to command at this point. Thus, the sign may read offer libations to Bubu, the sacred Bu. Okay, this is the first line. And as you can see, to read the lines, I had to break it down. And I had to break the lines down into their various parts. And you can see on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, how I was able to read all the signs. And what it says on row 1 of the Nem Lepunt is this: moral purity, the strong and powerful governor of the city. Propriety at this moment is the chief. This mystic order of the ruler built the family habitation of the ruler. The sacred object of respect is superior. The solitary cult leader of the divinity. The pure cult specialist is the vivid image of the race. Fashion righteousness this place. Merit is yours. You are victorious, or you have reached your final destination. Okay. A sacred object of respect is Lord, Ayao. The cult specialist holds upright the governor, the Jose. They called him a Jose. His inheritance as the vivid image of the race and governor. Though thou governor is sacred, the cult specialist has moral favor and great spirit or his soul. Again, this is what we find. And then we had from these, it was 10 various signs. And then I break down each one of the signs on the left-hand side. Okay, here we can see line 2. And as you can see, again, this time I put on the right-hand side how I broke the various characters up. And I show how they're syllabic signs. And this is what row 2 reads. Sacred Bu to realize, command the offering of his Ba, give the libations. Existing in a unique state is the pure ruler, the sacred Bu, the Grand Hao, or Lord. Here is a source of spiritual tranquility must remain for Bu's large building. Or, large building it could mean pyramid. Indeed, to merit the ruler. The estate of Bu exists, the foundation is here. Support the habitation of the family to realize admiration. Offer up abundant libations to the cult specialist in the company of the divinity. The company to indeed offer the libations for the celebrity. That was they're referring to Abu. 10 dots that rest here. The strong and vigorous Ba. The pure family habitation of the king holds upright purity and the law. Okay, here we are. Here again, we see line 3. This is row 3, and it has 9. It has, in a sense, 9 hieroglyphs, and it reads: "Fashion righteousness this dormitory. Hold upright the large hemisphere tomb. Descendants of the divinity, descendant of the divinity, the Son of God. The solitary sacred cult leader is a vivid image. Thine art consecrated to the divinity. Sacred Bu's vital spirit restores the family habitation as a source of spiritual tranquility. He is the ruler Bu. He is obedient to the order, calls here the conferring of all his virtue. The ruler gives life. The ruler is the vivid image of the race. Certainly the head governor is a source of spiritual tranquility and the law. The governor's family habitation holds upright the system of government and the mystic order. Like a rising star, the super Ba of the Hayao, the Ba is consecrated to the divinity. Command at this moment Bu's soul to receive his sacred libations in the company of the divine divinity held upright." This is the final line. Fashion righteousness. Hold up the divinity in the soul of the cult specialist. The sacred object is superior to the solitary specialist. The governor is like a superior talisman. The pure celebrity laid low is pure virtue, existing in a unique state, the dormitory, to prosper as a family habitation. This talisman is effective in providing one with virtue. Propriety unites the superior envoy on a mission. The environs are pure. The support of this habitation of family, thou the sacred object laid low. You see, in this inscription, they call Bu Jose. Jose was a surname given to an infant whose people ascribed the birth to the intervention of a divinity. In other words, in a sense, when they call Bu, in a sense, a Jose, they were saying that he was very important in a sense. And we find that in row 5, we see that they called him again Jose. The supporter's great propriety is the Jose, the source of spiritual power. Bu's a cult specialist and ruler merits consecration to divinity as the Jose. Thou were obliged to the order, O king, thou art. The code specialist is a joyful envoy on a mission for the pure order, the favorable supporter and governor, a joyful inheritance in the habitation of the family of sacred Boo. Thou pure vital spirit, the governor is consecrated to the divinity. Hold it upright. You see. And again, this is our Nimli Punet. And then in a sense, you can see this is, as I said, there's about, I think there's so many pyramids already at this site. So it was a very important site. And when you look at the picture on the far right-hand side, it was down there that they found the stela, you see. The Nimli Punet pendant was about King Boo the Jose. It tells us about his righteous existence and how his pyramid was a sacred place. Okay, if you want to learn more about the Olmecs, you can get my books, Atlantis in Mexico, and the Olmec language and literature. In the Olmec language and literature, I show you how you can break down the various Mayan Olmec hieroglyphics and how you can read these hieroglyphics by looking at the various syllabic signs that belong to the Olmec language. Other books on the history of Blacks in America include the Phylogeography of Afro-Americans and Africans. And the Phylogeography of Afro-Americans and Africans, I talk about, in a sense, the genetic breakdown of Black people in the Americas and also in Africa. And I've already talked about the fact, the world history of the Black race. In this book, you can find out about every Black civilization on the planet Earth, on every continent. And then you can get my book, African Empires in Ancient America. And what makes my book, African Empires in Ancient America, so good is that, when Runoko Rashidi and Ivan Van Sertima, they always talk about the African influence. What I show in the African Empires in Ancient America, I show that there were Black civilizations in Ancient America. There were empires. Yes, empires. Especially even among, in a sense, the pre-Inca, the Moshi people. Those people, in a sense, they worship the same religion as the people in ancient Axum. So as you can see, it's very interesting. Again, in a sense, you'll find the slides of this presentation. They're going to be on my Patreon. If you want to see the slides, join my Patreon. And because my Patreon, they support me a lot. A lot of times, in a sense, I had to buy articles. For example, this I had to get articles off the internet, and some of those articles, they're under paywalls. And the only way you can really get to see these articles is you have to have money. And the people who belong to my Patreon, they provide me with, in a sense, the support to be able to buy these articles, to buy new books every now and then, to be able to make sure that I can present to you this valuable information. Again, I'm at Twitter, Dr. Clyde Winters 8, and you can follow me at TikTok.com at Clyde Winters 3. There you can see some of my shorts. Again, go to my YouTube channel and find over 200 videos that deal with every aspect of ancient Black history. And you can order my books from Amazon.com. Thank you.
Wow, we thank you, Dr. Clyde Winters. What a presentation. Oh my gosh. Dr. Winters, your ability to decipher all of the Olmec and the Mayan scripts is nothing short of sheer genius. Wow. I mean, I'm looking at that a lot, and the beautiful words that have come out of those inscriptions as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And see what happened is that in 1997, at the Central States Anthropological Association meeting, I presented my decipherment. And see, luckily, I was on a panel with two other guys, and these were the big boys. And so, in 1997, I had all the big specialists in Mesoamerican studies. They was at that conference because they wanted to hear the big boys. And so there I was, and I presented my decipherment. And so that's why you notice no tenured faculty will attack my work, because they know if I get a chance to write a rebuttal, that I'll knock them down. Because see, they couldn't argue with it. They can't argue with it. And so then when I die, you're going to find people, you're going to find people that's going to say they can read this and that. And they'll say, hey, you know, Clyde Winters did it, but I did it better. But see, the European cannot accept the fact is that other people can do research besides you. They feel that if it doesn't come from another white man, you see, or someone who they gives temporary whiteness, you know, they're going to pretend that it doesn't exist because they're afraid of us. They can't compete with us. They can't compete with the beauty of our women. They can't compete with us sports. They can't compete with us academically because, see, if we decide we're going to do something, you know, we're going to do it. Think back when you was in school and you had those teachers looking at you saying, look at this girl, look at this little skinny ass girl sitting around in this class. Her parents came from Jamaica. They don't know what the hell, what does she think she's going? And yet look at what you accomplished. And look at what other Baradinaks are accomplishing. And the reason that we accomplish those things is because when we believe in something, we can make it real. And see, people don't understand that it's through Black people, especially Black women. It's through Black women in a sense that we can make the invisible visible. We can take something and we can bring it forth. You know, I went kind of fast. I hope I didn't go too fast, but I wanted to put everything in 2 hours, you know, because I know that we wanted to go up to 4. Well, 4 my time. I guess it's about 10, 8 or 9 your time.
9:45 our time now.
Yeah, 10. And so then, you know, so I want to get it in. But again, it's so much knowledge out there. And that's why we need to get our kids to do this. See, just think about this.
Imagine if our children, you know, were learning how to decipher, you know, all those pyramids. As you said, I mean, I think over 360, what was that figure? 360 pyramids in Mexico alone, with inscriptions and writings all waiting to be deciphered. With so much information. Like you said, they were sacred sites and people went to the stones, they went to the site, didn't they? Like you said, to get blessings and that. And people might scoff at it, but when you think of like the wall, you know, that they're all fighting over in Israel at the moment that they go to, they don't even have the inscriptions that these ones do with the messages and the scripts that they get from it. So, I mean, this is like, wow.
But see, but they tell you, but they'll tell you that you can't read this stuff. Same thing with Proto-Sumerian, Proto-Lamite. Like I decided to get this Valley script too, years ago. And I wrote about 20 articles on that and a book. But the point is that the European, he knows about my research. But the thing is that it just hurts them. It hurts them to say that some Black man did something. You see, look at how look how long it took them to make a movie that the American astronauts who first went into space had to go off the mathematical calculations of 3 Black women. Ain't that a blip? But they didn't tell you that. See, we're supposed to be dumb. And yet in the movie, they make it clear that these white astronauts, they trusted the work of these Black women rather than a computer.
Rather than a computer, imagine. Let's go over to the chat and bring in a couple of comments, shall we, from our audience. Okay, let me put my glasses on so I can see this fine print here. Rise up, family. Let's see what we've got in the chat. Ooh, Peru says the Malinki people are also called Mandinka, Manding in West African ethnic group, primarily found in Mali, the Gambia, and Eastern Guinea. So, is there a connection, do you think, Dr. Winters, between the Mandinka, the Manding, and the Malinki people? Were these the group that found their way into Mexico, possibly?
Yeah, they are related, but see, what people don't understand is that the Mandi people originally lived in the Fezzan. They originally lived in Libya, what we call modern Libya in the Fezzan. They built the Garima culture. And remember, in a sense, some of the earliest Mandingo sites are found in Mauritania, at Dadachi, Darwalada. And you remember Ghana, the ancient civilization of Ghana, that was up in Mauritania. See, so the Mandi people have been all over the place. And see, because back in ancient times, West Africa was like a thick jungle. And because it was like a jungle, it was full of nothing but mosquitoes and tsetse flies. And so then therefore not too many people, in a sense, lived in West Africa until after about 2000, 3000 BC. Now they lived there 10,000 years ago before it became a jungle. And then in a sense, and then because see, there's been various patterns, because see, most of the people have primarily lived in the Sahara Desert, then they would move to the Nile Valley, and then when the Sahara became a desert again, then they migrated from Egypt into West Africa. See, a lot of people always say, if Black people was in Egypt, why didn't they carry that civilization, the Egyptian civilization, with them? They always kept that civilization, but the thing is that the old people wouldn't let them do anything. See, the old people feel that you should live in small communities, because the old people feel that if you live in small communities, it'll be less congested, less crime, less deviance, if you know what I mean. And see, when you're in a large area, and see, that's what makes it so beautiful about the Egyptians. Remember, the Egyptians were originally Cushites. Remember, the first Cushite kingdom was Tarseti, but Tarseti is also the first nome or Sipat, or the first city of the state of Egypt. And see, the reason they did that is that they wanted to take what was taught in the secret society and make it known. That's why they built the temples and all that type of stuff. The knowledge always existed. Just like I was talking to one of my students I had this year. He's a Moor, and so he went and he lived among some of the Maninka and Dogon priests, because Maninka and Dogon, they belong to the same. Well, they speak different languages, but they belong to the same civilization. And so he talked about the fact that some of the Mandingo, Manding, that these people, they knew about the Olmecs, and they called them Kim Lu or Kimwi, the black water people, And I thought that was very interesting, because the Olmecs called themselves the she people, or the black people. And see, the reason a lot of people say John Henry Clark, and those people always say, oh, it was never a Negro land. No, that's a lie. Kemet was called what? The Black Land. So that's a lie when you say there was never a Negro land. And the people of Kemet, they call themselves Kametru or Kameyu, which means the black people. So, but see, because of the fact that Europeans have made us hate the word black, then therefore we don't want to think that anybody called themselves a black civilization and stuff like that. People, family, you better get that book, The Remarkable Accomplishments of Ancient African Civilization. Get that book, buy that book. You'll find that black people did create things. And see, but the reason that the Egyptians, the Sumerians, they call themselves they call themselves the black people too. The ancient people of the Shia civilization in China, they call themselves black people too, because they didn't really call themselves black because of their color, because we come in all colors. They call themselves black because they recognized that God was black. And by recognizing that God was black, because whenever you look in the night sky, you see outer space. And when you see outer space, you see nothing but blackness and little spots of light in it. So they were saying that they were the children of God. But let's go to some more questions. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's go back to the chat. Yes. Wow. This one here is from Norman Henderson. He says, I know some Garifuna people in New York. They are definitely African originated. They remind me, he says, of my Jamaican culture in rural areas of Jamaica. I just want to add to that, when there was the earthquake in St. Vincent, we actually got in touch with some people from that region. And they said that, they are the original people. They were the original people of St. Vincent. I think they call themselves the Garifunas, and that the people, there were another set of people who did come over as enslaved Africans, but they were originally there. And they said that their history went back thousands of years. And at the time, people was thinking, why do they not want to see themselves as Africans? Or because they were seeing themselves as different from the main group of people from St. Vincent and Grenadines. But you've just explained, that history. And so it'd be good to put you in touch with them. They probably, know a lot of the oral history as well. So on the comment from Norman, he's talking about the Garifuna people in New York, who are of African descent and have a similar culture to the Jamaicans. What do you say about that?
It's true, because remember, in a sense, it was that interaction. Because the people, but you got to remember that it's just like my ancestry. My father's side, they're from the Winters, but I know that some of them could have been Irish or whatever. But on my mother's side, they were Choctaw. But then when people look at my mother, she's very dark, very dark. But see, the Choctaw was very dark, and they were an indigenous people. But we've been so brainwashed to think that the Indians or the indigenous people were Mongoloid, therefore we don't really see ourselves. And see, that's the whole thing, is that's why history is so important. And that's why the European, he likes to teach you what he calls a modernist history. And he teaches you a history where the people who live in a place today are the same people who lived there yesterday. Often that's not the case. See, just like now, a lot of the Black Taino in Jamaica, they're coming forward. They explain that that the Maroons lived among them in Jamaica. But for a long time, they tortured that all the Taino were dead. There were no Caribbean people. No, because they were Black, they don't get mad at me. They just said it was a nit there and a nit there, and they just put them all together, you see? And so then it's very important to understand this whole idea. But they don't want you to understand, in a sense, is that when you're calling yourself Black, at least in a sense from the Egyptian point of view, the Sumerian point of view, you're really saying that you belong to the original people. And because you belong to the original people, and that you're of God, because remember, even if you get a Bible dictionary, the Bible dictionary will tell you that Adam means black or red of the soil. And so then therefore, if the original man was Black, then the true sons of God are the Black people. But it's just a lot of division. Religion is division anyway. So
And as I say, he made us Black because we were first, not because we were cursed.
That's it.
Let's see what else we've got over here. Mundele, Yengelumbu Kiambote says, tell them, Dr. Clyde, they will take it from you rather than us, Congo. The civilization of Kemet is the apex of the Anu or the Tuas, Baku, Mbuti, isn't it? So that's a question. He's making a statement.
It's true. Because remember, it was the Twa. It was the Twa that first ruled, the Twa Anu, who first ruled Egypt. It was the Twa Anu who first ruled, in a sense, Samaria. They also spread civilization here, but see, much of that civilization underwater. And I want to write a history of these people, but so much is underwater, it's just hard. Because see, after the last flood, so much of their civilization was drowned underwater. And so then that's why you found pygmies all over the world. Because at one time they had civilizations everywhere. But ancient Egypt, ancient Samaria, they're all based upon the Twa.
Right up to Europe. Yeah, the small-statured people were everywhere. And even today in our show, we was learning in the Marmar University segment of the show of the Nilotic people, the people from the Nile region, the tall, slender, dark ones, and that the Kushites are a subgroup of the Nilotic people. And, as we learn about the different groups of Africans, so the Nilotic ones who were the tall, slender ones, the very dark ones with the more straightish features, like some of the Ethiopians and those from Sudan, we can see, where they've gone and where they've ended up, where they've traveled around the world. And when we were learning about the Batwa people as well, we can see the small statured people and, you know, the first and where they went to and some of their civilizations as well.
Like we always talk about white features. We were here first. Those aren't white features. Those are white people with black features. But we just don't get it. We just now if they got that real long pepper nose, that's different, you know. But other than that, it's not being racist. It's calling a spade a spade. I'm sorry.
So we've got all those features, the tall, slender, dark ones with the straight noses. Yeah, you take the complexion away, you may well, you know, get the impression that some of those were white features when they were not. Okay, oh, wow, is that the time already? We are at the top of the hour. What another very fascinating presentation by Dr. Clyde Winters, deciphering all that Olmec and Mayan inscription. Wow, I tell you, if I was 30 years younger, I'd want to learn all of that. So if there are any young people, you know, who are as interested and as fascinated as I was by all of that decipherment, do not be put off by thinking that, you know, as Africans, we can't decipher what's written on some of those pyramids. Yes, they may be focused on the pyramids of Egypt, but there are pyramids all around the world. 360 of them in Mexico alone, waiting to be deciphered.
Not only that, but think about this, family. That all of the great medical discoveries, engineering discoveries, they come from where? University of Chicago, Cambridge, you know, University of Pennsylvania. What do all these universities have in common? They have Egyptology departments. They go and they read these inscriptions. They find out what we did in ancient times, then they repackage it and say, "Oh, we discovered it."
Yes.
It's nothing but our civilization.
Exactly. And I think there is, you know, something in our DNA as well that gives us that extra ability to recognize some of these inscriptions. And I'm sure, you know, once the Mandinkas and the Mandis and the West Africans and others start looking at some of these inscriptions, they'll be able to decipher it as well, because, you know, even today, there's still a lot of symbols that they use and inscriptions and drawings that they use that may well, that they're going to start seeing in some of these ancient works. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, but see, but you have to understand, Sister Shanice, you have to understand that a lot of stuff they know, but they can't tell because they belong to the secret society. See, I don't belong to the secret society, so I can tell whatever I want to tell. You see, but see, some things when you find out and they've trained you in the mysteries, you can't tell the mysteries. That's why I don't want to know any mysteries. I can tell.
Wow. Family. Oh, there's so many comments in here. We've just run out of time. Life after 60 with Decita. Oh, what's up, Sister Decita said. They were coming down Africa and had a shipwreck on St. Vincent. The Amerindians were there in the mixture of the Africans and the Amerindians. Offspring became known as Garifuna. Okay, so a bit of additional oral history there, maybe that's been added into the story here. But lots of hearts going up. Thank you so much. Carol Anderson, rise up, rise up. Says, Dr. Clyde, will you direct a tour to Central America? Wow, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
It would be, but with my old butt, I'll probably fall down and I can't get up.
Oh no, we don't want that to happen. Oh my gosh. So no, maybe Carol, you'll have to organize a tour and then, you know, Skype our beloved brother, you know, what you're looking at, what you're seeing, and you can do the decipherment. To everybody in the chat, for all of your comments and all of your support, we thank you so much. Please do, you know, give us a thumbs up as well. Please do share the knowledge and the teachings. We are just so honored. I don't think we realize the genius that we have in our midst. Wow, Dr. Clyde, you're an absolute genius. You really are, you know, to have written so many books, so many papers, the research that you've been doing to be able to decipher, you know, not only are you writing them, and you're doing the research, it's all original research as well. You're not regurgitating other people's stuff. Yeah, phenomenal.
Just think, if Diane Winters would have let me went downstairs and stay, I could have even more. She said, bring your up to this bed. Get up here. My wife was very, my Wonder Woman was very jealous. You know, she wasn't jealous of any woman on the planet.
But the time you spent with the research.
Yeah, she wasn't. You know, I remember a friend of mine. She used to say, "That Diane is a hell of a woman." I said, "I know that, but if only she would have." But I'm glad, because see, you need somebody, just like Shanice. You need somebody sometime to tell you to stop. I know that your daughter and your man, they be upset with you because you always want to just probably stay in the street helping people. But the thing is, this is that you gotta give a little bit of yourself, but you gotta remember is that the people who love you, when all is said and done, when everybody and used you up, is the people at home that are there for you.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And it doesn't matter how many years you put into the community and community works, at the end of the day, it so quickly gets forgotten. Or, you know, sometimes it's not even appreciated until after we've gone, which is a shame. So what I say is, you know, people support the works, you know, while we're alive. Don't wait until we're gone, because I can assure you afterwards, you know, those universities are going to be coming out, you know, when we're not in a position to defend ourselves. I mean, even that one paper that I've written, Dr. Clyde, that you encouraged me to write, well over 1,000 reads, universities up and down the land. Mine is a free subscription level, so I can't read all of their comments on what they're saying. But I dread to imagine they've got all their university scholars, you know, probably ripping into shreds. But you taught me so well. All the sources are there. All my sources are there to back everything up.
but Shanice, remember when I told you guys that you were exemplary. You guys were the best. And see, it's just that it's just taking a chance. It's taking a chance and then going out there. And that's what makes me so proud of all of you, is that you did that, but you did that on your own. You did that on your own, you see?
Yeah, we knew we had you behind us, in front of us, alongside us. You paved the way for us. You taught us in those classes how to do it. And we just followed your template. And wow. So rise up, Sister Bev, who got her paper in, Sister Amra, who got her paper in, to all the others that got their paper in as well, Sister Baguette, Sister Sherilyn, all doing phenomenal works as a result of you. Your legacy lives on, definitely.
But the beauty is that what I love about you guys in your group, Cheryl, and then Cheryl Lynn, and then Baquette came with you guys, Amber and the rest. You guys are still together, and that's what makes it so beautiful. You guys are still together, still working together, still supporting each other, and that, you see, family. The one thing that has held Black people back is that we always end up doing stuff individual, and we can't work with each other, you know. But see, you know, these sisters, the people in my class have found it possible to work with each other, to stand with each other, and not allow other people to make them turn their backs on each other. And that's important. That's important because, see, you know, when it's all said and done, love is I'm gonna say, well, my wife used to get mad, love is a bitch. And what I mean by that, that's not being negative. When I say love is a bitch, that means that love is so important. Love is everything. And see, you know, growing up as a man, you know, you always taught that love is having sex. That's not love. That's not real love. Real love is being able to share good times with somebody. And that doesn't mean that you have to have sex with them, you know. You say that when you get old, but anyway. But the point is this, though, is that it's to be able, in a sense, to. I love the fact that you guys are working together. You guys are still you're producers. See, listen, family, family, family. Agriculture, growing crops was made by our Black women queens. But now we got Queen Shanice Lindsay, we got the Queen writing these books. She's nurturing the soil. She's building up the soil. She's going to build up those young brothers and sisters to feel that they are important and that they can fight too. See, we need that. See, we need that. Over in Britain, just about everybody looking over here. Forget looking over here. You got to look at the people over there. We got. See, I want to hear some stories about growing up as a teenager over there, because I know my life was interesting. I can't even imagine how the life was growing up as a teenager in the UK. We don't have that book yet.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have that book yet.
Yeah,
we need
we'll
that
do
book.
the work. We gotta encourage the people over here to do the work. So get ready. 2024. Make sure this is your year to be writing the books. We're going to be having some discussions on this with Dr. Clyde Winters. We need more scholars. We need more researchers. We need more historians. We need more authors, family. If you think that's you, get ready, okay?
And we need more love. We need more love and understanding of each other. See, because if we can love each other and understand each other, we can promote each other. Because see, as I told you before, it is so hard. You know, we were taught, you know, that Black people like crabs in a barrel, and then we're always trying to pull ourselves down. You see, but see, family, every week you come to this show, every week you come and hear Sister Shanice, and you see all the great people she brings on her show. There's nobody here that's trying to pull you down. Everybody you get here, everything you get here is to uplift you. Everything you get here is right to push you up, to make you feel good. And isn't that what it's all about? And see, some people say, oh, that's just feel good. What's wrong with feeling good? What's wrong with acknowledging who you are? See?
We have to have that space where we can come together and feel good. Society is beating us down on a daily basis. You just have to step outside your house in some places in the world where we are, and it's a reminder that, you know, they want to shovel us in a hole somewhere and don't even want to see us. So yeah, we have to come together and remind ourselves of our former greatness, because if we were great back then, it's a reminder that we can be great again as a people, and we need that. Absolutely.
We are great, because see, who would ever believe that little sister grew up over there in over there in Britain. You know, her teachers told her she wasn't going to be ish, and yet today she got scholars all over the world, 1,000 scholars all over the world, professors, reading her work, and her work is going to be cited by other scholars.
Imagine.
Who would believe that?
Who would believe that? I can't even believe that, but you made it possible. And for all the others, you know, you have yet to sow your seeds into, and you've yet to inspire to be the great ones that they can be, and that you are inspiring just from, you know, absorbing what you're saying right now. We rise you up. We thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you, but it's you guys. See, it's one thing to tell you, but it's another thing to see that you guys produce it. It is so wonderful, because see, it is so much out there to, as you said, to keep us down. So when you can find people lifting each other up. It's wunderbar.
Yeah. Oh, so many hearts here, so much love. Thank you, Sister Quebec. Go travel abroad. Enough love back at you, Brother Norman. Enough love back at you as well. Wow, Sister Sherilyn in the house. Kwame Aboje, rise up, Brother Heru, Norman. Woo, SDNH 99 in the house. Carol Anderson. All to each and every one of you. Life After 60. We thank you so much for keeping it locked. and for absorbing this invaluable information about our history, our greatness, and where our people have been in the world. We know we've been around for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, possibly over 1 million a year. So we shouldn't be surprised when we find, the evidence of our greatness that our ancestors have left behind all around the world. We should not be surprised. In fact, we ought to expect it when you consider, the great civilizations, empires, kingdoms, cities that our ancestors built. Wow. But as you say, they will have us looking at some of those monuments, and we will see our reflection in some of those monuments and still not even recognize that they are our ancestors. Well, I had someone tell me that they were looking at the big broad faces and noses that was chipped out of the wood in Cambodia, in the mountains in Cambodia, and didn't even realize until we were talking about that and claiming it as our history that they were looking at their ancestors. The big broad nose, everything. Yeah. So that's how they got us going on. But family, we're so honored. We love you, Dr. Clyde. When I ask my audience to tell me who I should invite back, your name always comes up. You're well loved here for the works that you do. I hope you know that. We appreciate love you on this platform. I've got to tear myself away. Family, give some love to Dr. Clyde. Buy at least one of his books, yeah? Buy at least one of his books to support. The festive season is upon us. You're going to be looking for gifts. Some of you are going to be looking for that gift to give a loved one. And what better gift can you give than a book that's going to inspire, uplift, encourage, motivate, and bring the greatness out of the individual that's reading it. So you've heard from Dr. Clyde. You've heard from myself. We look forward to you supporting the works. More love, more strength. Sister Shanice out of here for now. Thanks again, Dr. Clyde.
Thank you. One love.